3, 4 incubators. And two of us, like, I'm very committed to the ecosystem where this has been a task that we need to work on the startups already registered also. उसमें जो अच्छे startups है उनको कैसे curate करेंगे, simultaneously नए startups को भी incubate करके proper structure देंगे. So this is just an idea how the ecosystem has come up in last 4, 5 years, and that's why hugely we have been lagging to other. East doesn't have a startup hub, whereas West, North, and South do. So there is a good amount of migration of good startups to the other startups hubs, and that becomes a reason also we are not able to convert it into a hub. So with this, I would say you can think of moderating the complete system. And then I'm very sure that nobody needs an introduction to Dhruvnath ji. Still, he's the director of Lead Angels, and all of you have attended a session maybe on a different topic. Today, we would maximize our learning from whatever he is emphasizing on business plan. And you can definitely be very proactive and put your concerns so that you get an expertise advice on your concerns. It's over to you, Drupji. We can continue.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I just want to ask how many, because I know I have conducted a lot of these workshops for startups in Odisha. And I also know that you guys are doing a very good job. In fact, I get a lot of inquiries from there, from startups who want mentorship or advice or whatever. I just want to check how many of you have attended any of my other sessions. Can we have a
Please
show?
raise your hands.
I have it.
Please raise your hands.
Yeah, please. I cannot see all of you.
Sir, good afternoon.
So
Sir, this is Sitanshu here.
I cannot see all the hands, but
I have attended, sir.
okay. So okay. So what I want to do is, see, some of you have attended, some of you have not. So what I need to do is, I will need to at least cover what I've covered in the past in other sessions, even if it is briefly. I need to cover that, and then I'll go on to the business plan. Okay. I just want to check with you the session that I did, which you attended. Maybe I will cover something similar, but with a different case, with a different story. So which ones have you attended? Which story have you attended? There was a story about Squirrel. There was a story about AHA taxis. There was a story about
Co-working space.
I was there with AHA Taxis.
AHA taxis. Okay. And has anybody attended Squirrel?
No, co-working space.
The Squirrel story, no? Okay, my cute office. Yeah. Okay, so I'll take a different case. I'll take Squirrel. Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Okay, so what I will do now is, okay. So I'll take up Squirrel. So those of you who have attended this would remember what I call the persistent model. So I'll take the same model initially, and then from there we'll go on to the business plan. Okay. So just 1 minute. Let me just start sharing. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay. So for some of you who have attended my earlier thing, this will be a bit of a repeat, except that it's a different story. And the reason why I need to cover this is that the business plan is also based on this. So we'll be talking about the business plan. Now, the story which I'll share with you guys is a story called Squirrel. It's a startup called Squirrel, and you can see the squirrel in the picture over here. And the reason why I'm sharing a story is, I have spent the last 10 odd years working with, mentoring, advising, learning from a lot of young startups, and some of them failed, some of them succeeded. So what we tried to do is we tried to figure out what makes a startup successful, and conversely, what is it that leads to the startup failing. And incidentally, when you make your business plan, when you pitch to investors, these are exactly the same things that the investor will also look at, because obviously the investor also wants to see a startup which is likely to succeed. Correct? So some of you have, can you see my face, by the way, or you can only see the screen?
We can see the face as well.
Okay, because I cannot see any faces. Anyway, so whatever we have learned is put down in the form of this book. So I will be sharing pieces from this book. Okay, it's called Funding Your Startup and Other Nightmares. Other nightmares because funding is a nightmare, as you guys know. So I'll talk about squirrel. If you look at squirrels in the park, right, you will find that they are collecting food. But some of this food they eat and some of it they save. And the reason why they save it is that, there will be times when they don't have food because maybe it is the monsoons and therefore there is, the ground is covered in rainwater, or in Western countries it is snowbound and therefore they can't find food. So therefore they have to save food. Now, if you look at human beings, they also need to save, although they don't need to save food, they need to save money, right? Now, there is one very fundamental problem with saving. And the fundamental problem is far too many temptations, right? So, for example, I mean, there are lots of young men on this group, in this audience. The moment Royal Enfield comes out with a new 600cc motorbike, I'm sure all of you will queue up outside the dealerships maybe 3 hours before it opens, right? Because you're desperate to buy it, because you want it. It's a temptation, right? Or, there is a great new movie in town and you have to go with friends. You have to have popcorn and Pepsi and whatever else. After which, you have to go to the bar and drink, isn't it? And have dinner. By the way, are you all adults? Are you all 18 plus? Because I am talking of drinking. I hope I am not saying the wrong thing.
So almost all of us are above 18.
Okay. So those who are not adults, you will soon start doing this. But anyway, so, that's the problem. Far too many temptations. So what the founders of Squirrel did was they said, okay, let us figure out a solution. And for the solution, they went back to your grandmother's time. Okay. And your grandmother would have had something like this. In North India, we call it a gullak. I know in Bengal, because I've lived in Bengal, I know these things are very common. I'm sure in Odisha also they are common. So it's a little earthen vessel of this kind, closed, right? You can't open it. And it has a slot for putting in coins or even notes, rupee notes, right? So how does it work? So let's say your grandmother goes to the sabzi wala and she buys 9 rupees 80 paise worth of vegetables. She gives a 10 rupee note and gets 20 paise back, right? That's change. That 20 paise will go into this little gullak. Okay. Similarly, let's say tomorrow she buys something else and, she spends 18 rupees 40 paise. That 60 paise change which is left over again goes into the gullak. And that's how she saves money. and she can't open the Gullak. You can't open it. You can only break it, right? And you know the reason why the saving works very well. Can anybody tell me why it works very well? Anyone? Anyone? Just unmute yourself
So
and tell me.
every day, yes, sir. Every day you are doing something, and you are not like this is such a small amount
Wonderful.
that we don't keep a track of it, and it
Wonderful.
keeps on adding to it. So that's
Wonderful.
what.
So what is your name?
So this is Minushri from Thinkro India Private Limited.
Minushri. Okay. Minushri,
Yes.
you get one chocolate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Which one? KitKat or Dairy Milk?
Sir, Dairy Milk.
Dairy Milk. Okay. Okay. Done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So, exactly like Minushri said, the reason why it works is it is such a small amount, it is painless and it is regular. Every time you buy, you save 10 paise, 20 paise, 30 paise, 40 paise, right? It doesn't hurt. You spend 9 rupees 80 paise, spending an extra 20 paise doesn't hurt. And that 20 paise is not spent, it is saved. Correct? So what Squirrel decided to do was to automate this concept of the Gullak. How? They said, first of all, we'll create an app, right? And this app, you will have to download this app, right? And you have to register on this app. Now, every time you spend money, and when I say spend money, I don't mean currency notes, anything else, whether it is a debit card or a credit card or online banking, UPI, wallet, Paytm, MobiKwik, net banking, whatever, any method you use, you will normally get an SMS. Correct? Now, when you've downloaded this app and in the app you have registered, you have given permission to the app to access your SMSs where it says this is the money spent. Okay. Now, I just want to ask Minushri, since you've already got a KitKat,
Yes, sir.
I assume you have a boyfriend?
So I'm married, having a kid.
Oh, okay. So husband. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And husband then cannot be boyfriend, obviously, right?
Sir, no, I don't want anymore.
Okay. Okay, good. So let us assume that you are having a very romantic exchange on SMSs with your husband, right?
Yes.
Squirrel has no idea. It has no interest in your married life, right? All
Yes.
it wants. So please be safe. There's no problem, right? It
Sure.
only wants to know how much you have spent. Even if you had a fight, Squirrel doesn't care, right?
Okay.
So Squirrel is only interested in what you spend, what it does. What it does is at the end of the week, it will total up all your expenses, rounds it up to the nearest 100. So for example,
Yes.
let's say in the week you have spent 1,280. That 20
Yes.
rupees, which takes it up to 1,300, that
Yeah.
is saved. Okay, because it's exactly the same as the. Oh, by the way, you don't have to keep saying yeah. Don't worry.
Sure.
Your conversation about the your married life is over. Okay, yeah. So that is saved, and just notice it is working exactly the same way as the Gullak, except for one fundamental difference. What is that? Anyone? There's one fundamental difference between the Gullak and this. Anyone?
Here
Anybody
you can keep a track of like how much it's been gone, kind of, because in Gullak you put and you forget.
Yeah, correct.
You keep a track of it, no?
Yeah. Is this Minushri again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you get one more chocolate. You're right.
So I'm sorry, I'm asking for one thing. I'll be buying this book of yours, and I shall be needing your signature on it.
Okay, so I'll tell you how you can get that. Yes.
Sure, sir. Thank
I'll
you.
tell
Yeah.
you how. Yeah. So this, the Squirrel approach is automated. In the Gullak, your grandmother could have cheated. She could have said, look, आज mood नहीं है, आज मेरे को spend करना है, आज मैं पैसा नहीं डालूंगी. But in Squirrel, if you've registered, you've already given it permission. It's automatic, right? So that's one fundamental difference. You can't cheat unless you withdraw your permissions. Okay. So now the fundamental question which Squirrel had was, can they charge for this? Okay. And they realized, and I think very rightly they realized this, they said, look, just to help people save money, nobody is going to pay us, right? But what we will do is we will get savers on board. So now we have enough savers. And by the way, today Squirrel has about 4 lakh such people. Once we get these people and we don't charge them, then we will offer them other financial products and we will charge for them, right? So for example, you want to buy insurance, buy it through us, we'll charge a commission. You want to take a loan, take it through us, we'll charge a commission, and so on and so forth. Okay. So for helping people save, they will not charge. But once the savers are there, once they have a large enough free customer base, they will give them other financial products for which they will charge. And that is how Squirrel makes money. Okay. Now, what I'll share now is something that I call a persistent framework, which is basically an acronym. And some of you guys who have attended my sessions in the past would have seen this, but I will try and explain persistent with the example of Squirrel. Earlier, it would have been with the example of AHA taxis or something else. Okay. So, so first of all, each letter in the word persistent stands for something, right? So let's start with the first letter, P, problem, right? If you have to have a successful business, most important, you have to be solving a problem for somebody. Otherwise, you don't have a business. It's very simple, right? And clearly, these guys were solving a problem because they were A, helping you to save, and B, they were also helping you to buy other products, whether it is insurance or mutual funds or whatever, right? So not a problem. Second, E, earnings model. Not only should you be solving a problem for your customer, the customer should be willing to pay you for it. Because if he's not, then you're doing charity, you're not running a business, right? Now here, clearly for saving, nobody would pay, but for the other things, they're willing to pay a commission, like, investing in mutual funds or buying a loan, taking a loan, or taking an insurance policy or whatever. Okay. Third, again, very important, size of the market. So you can see I am taking each letter one by one, right? So S. Size of the market is something which is extremely important because, you want to create a startup. You want to create a startup that grows, correct? But if the market is small, then how can your startup grow? So then at the let's say at 20 lakh revenue or 30 lakh revenue, it will say, नहीं मैं थक गया और नहीं grow कर सकता हूँ. क्यों? क्योंकि market size ही नहीं है. ठीक है? And I guess all of you are okay with Hindi as well. So, that is the problem. If you have a small size market or an average size market, you cannot grow continuously, which is why you need, for a startup to be successful and for it to get regular growth, you need a very large market. Right? Now, obviously, the financial services market, which is what Squirrel is tapping, where it's mutual funds and insurance and so on and so forth, it's a huge market, right? So you probably have the entire middle class of India, which is what, about 35 crores, 40 crores, right? The entire middle class is your market, and that's huge. That's bigger than any population in the world anywhere except for China. Bigger than the total population of the US, right? So huge market. However, there is one problem. What do you do if the market is crowded? Okay. Now let me ask you people, what does a crowded market mean? And anybody who wants a chocolate is welcome to try.
Sir, I think
Sir, a
there will
crowded
be
market is one.
Yeah, let the first person speak.
So the crowded market is one in which there are a lot of competitions.
बहुत बढ़िया. Who said this?
This is Preetham from Multimeter Lab.
Preetham. Okay, good. So Preetham, you also get one chocolate.
Thank you, sir.
मैं सच में भेज रहा हूँ. मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Okay, so absolutely. You know, the problem is when you have a very crowded market, which means lots of competition, it is very difficult to survive. Very difficult. Because some people, some startups in a crowded space will always die. I mean, you look at, for example, food delivery. 4 or 5 years ago, you had lots of players in this market. You had Zomato, Swiggy, of course, and then you also had guys like Tiny Owl, Food Panda. I think you had Tin Man. You had a few other guys. They all died. Today, you only have Zomato and Swiggy. Only 2 guys have survived, right? So, in a crowded market, particularly where the competitors are big guys, huge guys, it is not a good idea to enter because you will get killed. Okay. Now, you know that in this space, the online financial services space, there are a lot of big guys already, right? So when Squirrel started, which was about 4 years back, there were a lot of big guys. Who are the big guys? Anybody? Anyone? Just unmute yourself, please. Who are the big guys in this
So
space?
big players in the market who are big players or big companies who are into the same service that I
Can
am
you
asking.
name some?
Paytm, PhonePe.
Perfect. So, okay, one difference. Paytm and PhonePe
All
are into, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Just hold on. These are into payments. So, Squirrel is not into payments. It is giving you other financial products. But Paytm Money is into that space. Yes. Who just spoke? Who was the person? Sorry, what's your name?
Satya.
Chocolate? चलेगा?
Say book.
यार अब 1 मिनट, अभी तो मैं चॉकलेट दे रहा हूँ ना, बुक की बाद में बात करेंगे.
All right, no problem.
Okay. So you know, so if you have a and it's not only Paytm Money, ET Money, Policy Bazaar. You all heard of Policy Bazaar? They're coming out with an IPO, right? It's a huge guy into insurance. There are today companies like Zerodha, where you can invest, right? You can buy stocks, you can buy mutual funds. So, lot of big guys, right? And it is not a good idea to be into a crowded marketplace. So, therefore, what do you do? What you should do, therefore, is you should try and identify a subset of that market, or I will call it a niche of that market, which is large enough, because, you know, if it is not large enough, then again, you can't grow. So, it has to be large enough, but it should be non-crowded. Okay? So, let's take this example. Squirrel realized that when you look at people above the age of about 25, 30, so 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, etc., they all invest money, they all buy mutual funds, they all take insurance policies, right? They all do tax planning. Many of them do financial planning. They all take insurance, right? So that's a very crowded space, and all these big guys that I mentioned basically cater to those people, the people above the age of about 25, 30. But what Squirrel realized was guys in college, 18 plus, right? And people in their first job. So let's say the age group from 18 to 25, they normally don't take insurance. They normally don't invest, or even if they invest very, very small amounts, right? They will not, well, in most cases, they will not do financial planning, right? So these are guys who the big players are not aiming at. This is what we call a virgin market, which means it's an unexplored market, untapped market, right? Not crowded, but very large. Why? Because, you know, these youngsters, 18 to 25, like many of you, that itself is about 8, 9, 10 crores in the country, in India. Right? So what they decided, therefore, was we will not tap the entire market. We will only tap young people who the big guys are not tapping. So we have created a niche, a subset, which is large enough and it is not crowded. Okay, is that okay? So that's the fourth part of the persistent framework. Okay, next issue. Again, very, very important, scalability. Can somebody explain what is scalability? Anyone?
Sir, scalability means how much we can grow our company, up to what extent we can take it.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. What's your name?
Sir, myself Aman Goel from Sun Smart Solutions.
Okay, Aman Goel. ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
भालो. तो ऐसा है. So you're right. I will just add one more thing. How much you can grow, yes, but how fast you can grow, right? Now, size of the market and scalability are two different things. Please remember, size of the market tells you how big the market is. Scalability is within that market, can you grow fast? Okay, and I'll take an example. Suppose you take a very simple example like a Kirana shop. Okay, Kirana shop is a very profitable business. But if he has to double his revenues or triple his revenues, he will have to have 2 more outlets, which means identify, either purchase or rent out 2 more shops, right? Then he has to have manpower for those shops. Then he has to create infrastructure, shell, and so on, right? Not easy. Can't do it fast, right? Whereas in the world of startups, you want to grow rapidly. And if you don't grow rapidly, your competitor will come in and kill you because he is growing faster than you, correct? So the Kirana shop may be a very successful business, but it is not a scalable business. Is that okay? Similarly, let me talk about Infosys. Infosys is a very highly manpower dependent business. If you want to double revenues, you have to double manpower, isn't it? And when you double manpower, you'll have to double the number of buildings and the infrastructure and so on and so forth. Again, you can't do that in a hurry. So which is why Infosys for many, many years has been growing by only about 20-30% per year. But startups typically grow 100%, 200, 300, 400% per year, right? Now tell me, how scalable is Squirrel? Is it a highly scalable business? Is it not? Can it grow rapidly? Anyone?
Sir, not exactly, because they have to put in a lot of efforts to convince this segment of 20 to 25 years, because they hardly believe in saving or,
Yeah,
putting
right.
in.
So you're right.
Yeah.
So actually, so let me put it a little differently. The amounts that these guys will either save or invest, etc., will be small. That I accept. But
Yes.
they are still able to get customers fast.
But
Another
yes,
issue.
sir, yes, because this segment is so much into social networking and something. Even 10 people are buying it today, then tomorrow it can increase to 10,000 kind of, because it's spreading so fast. These guys, they follow each other and all. So yeah, it can be scalable that way.
Okay. Can somebody else also give me an answer? I agree with what Minushri said. Anybody else also? Let's have a few more people answering.
Yeah, because it is technology based, so it can go fast.
Wonderful. What's your name?
Sir, Sanjay from Hyderabad.
Sanjay. There was some Sanjay Patra. Are you Sanjay Patra?
Sir.
Were you there in my last session? Because I remember that name.
Yeah, I was there.
मेरे को नाम याद है तुम्हारा. Okay, good. Sanjay, chocolate.
Thank you, sir.
ठीक है बस. Correct. So, the fundamental issue is Squirrel is a pure digital business. It is not manpower dependent, right? Like Sanjay said, it's a pure technology business. And a pure digital business, there is no limit to scalability. You want to grow by, let's say, 5 times in 1 year, all you have to do is spend much more on marketing and you will grow. Don't have to add manpower, don't have to build infrastructure. In any case, your hosting is on the cloud, correct? So any pure digital business is very highly scalable. Any business which has a lot of manual involvement is less scalable. And obviously anything which is in between. For example, you look at Amazon, right? Or Zomato. Zomato is somewhere in between because it's a digital business, but it also has deliveries, which means manpower, right? So its scalability is somewhere between Squirrel on the one hand and a Kirana shop on the other hand. So far, are we okay? Yeah. The issue you have to appreciate is risks, because every business has risks, right? And one of the biggest risks you have is the possibility of your competitor getting in and killing your business, right? Taking away your customers, taking away your market share, and therefore you don't grow, he grows, right? So which is why you need to have an entry barrier. Entry barrier is what? This is your business. Within this business, you have to do something which prevents the competitor from getting in. Okay, and that's called an entry barrier. It's a barrier which prevents your competitor from getting in. Okay, and by the way, if you have a highly innovative solution which is easy to, which is not easy to copy, right? That's a good entry barrier. If you have a patent or 2 patents, that's an even better entry barrier because legally the other guy is not allowed to copy anyway. Correct? Now I want you to look at Squirrel, and anybody can answer. What is the kind of entry barrier these guys has? Is it a good strong entry barrier? Is it weak? Anyone? Yeah, boss. Anyone? Does it have a good strong entry barrier or a weak one?
Entry barrier is weak.
Is weak.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because it is mainly based on the application, and one can enter into it. Of course, entry barrier is you cannot say it is big or small, but it is there.
Okay. What is your name?
Sanjay Patra sir.
Oh, Sanjay Patra again. Okay. So actually, yes, entry barrier is fairly low because anybody can create an app and say, boss, मैं भी यही business करूँगा. It's actually a very low entry barrier business. Over time, there is some building up of trust. So one friend will tell another friend, यार मैं तो Squirrel use कर रहा हूँ, I am very happy, तू भी use कर ले. Right? So the trust, the brand that gets built up is some entry barrier, but still it is not very large. Therefore, it is very, very important to grow fast because if you scale up rapidly, you are at least ahead of the other guy who is not able to scale up rapidly. Right? And by the way, normally entry barriers build up over time. Okay, so these are 8 things I've talked about. Now the last 2. The second last thing is the team, which starts with the founders. And we have a very interesting saying in the, I think, please mute yourself because somebody's mic is playing up. Yeah, please. Thanks. So, there is a saying that we have in the world of startups. If you have a great founder or a great set of founders and an average business plan, they will figure out a way to make it work. But if you have a weak set of founders, but a great business plan, it will not work. Okay. Unfortunately, these guys were extremely good. They're senior guys one of them is from Axis Bank, senior guy, and very experienced in the field of wealth management, which is essentially what we are trying to do here. Okay. So very good team. And finally, what is the final proof? You may have the best entry barrier, the wonderful team, highly innovative, big market size, wonderful earnings model, but what is the final proof?
Sir, revenue generation.
Who said that? Sanjay?
Sanjay sir.
Sanjay. बहुत बढ़िया. Yeah, Sanjay, second chocolate for you.
Sir.
So, absolutely. So, I'll call that traction. Are you getting customers? Are they growing? Is your revenue growing month on month? These guys, fortunately, within the first 2 years, in fact, initially they didn't have any revenues, but after that they started getting about, I think today the revenue is about 15 to 20 lakhs a month, and they have about 4 lakh customers. So they've had decent traction. Okay. Now, I want to ask you one question, because all of you at some stage will be going to investors, all of you, right? I've talked about the persistent model. I've said, look, this is what you need to do to ensure that your startup is successful. But my next question is, what do investors look for? Anyone? Tell me.
Sir, traction basically, like
return on investment.
Okay, correct. Traction is one. Who? Somebody else also spoke? Yeah, please. The other person who spoke. So traction is one, but they must be looking at other things also. What other
Sir,
things?
track record of the co-founders and founders.
Wonderful. So the founders, what else?
Sir, all the 10 points what you told.
बहुत बढ़िया. Who
Sir,
said
me
that?
Sanjay Patra from Haryana.
Sanjay Patra, I think the rest of the presentation you can make, right? Yeah. So Sanjay, you get 2 chocolates.
Yes, sir.
Good. So ultimately, look, boss, investors look for exactly the same thing that the founder looks for. He wants a successful startup. He wants a startup that grows fast, that can keep out competition, that has an entry barrier, large market size. That's exactly what the founder also wants, right? So the investor also looks for exactly this. Correct? Okay. I want to tell you a couple of things about, or maybe I'll talk about this in the question answer session. Yeah. So this is the first part where I'm talking about the persistent model, right? I'll just stop sharing for a minute. And yeah, maybe I'll now share the other part, which is on the business model. Yeah, some of you have still raised your hands. Sorry, is that a question, Arun Kumar? You just raise your hand. Is that a question? No? Okay.
No, sir.
No. Okay, good. So I will just share my second part. Yeah. Okay, you can see this. Can you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, so now this is the second part where we'll talk about the business plan, right? So first of all, can somebody tell me what is a business plan? Very simple terms. Don't give me jargon, just give me simple terms. What is a business plan? Anyone?
The roadmap, sir. The roadmap.
Okay.
basically.
Wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else?
So vision with a mission.
Vision with a mission. Okay, yes. What else? Anyone else?
A plan to make revenue.
Okay, wonderful. So basically, in very simple terms, these 3 things. What you've done so far, what you want to do now, and how you plan to do it. Correct? That's your business plan. And normally you have a short-term plan, which is about a year, and then you have a long-term plan, which could be 2 to 3 years. Now, I must tell you a couple of very important things here. First of all, who is this business plan for? Is it for you? Is it for the investor? Who is it for?
Firstly for ourselves, then for the investor.
Correct. Because you can't just say, हाँ boss, आज मैं startup शुरू करूँगा. Plan है? नहीं, कोई plan नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं, मैं start करूँगा. You can't. You have to have a plan, isn't it? Just as you want to build a building, you have to have a plan first. You can't start by putting bricks one after the other. Correct? So it is for you, but it is also for the investor. Both of you need it. The mistake which a lot of founders make is that they don't have a business plan till they meet the investor. And they assume this is only for the investor. एक बार investor ने पैसा डाल दिया, business plan को waste paper basket में डाल दो, धंधा चलाओ. That is absolutely wrong. You must have a plan and you must try and follow that plan. So far, are we okay? The second comment, again very important, is when you create a startup, you must realize that things will change dramatically. It may change in 6 months, it may change in 1 year, it may keep changing every year. So your 1-year plan, you may be more or less okay, but the long-term plan can be completely different ultimately. But that doesn't matter. At least you must have a long-term plan right now, even though you may want to change it as you go along. Are we okay? Okay, so that's your business plan. Now, the question is, what is the core of the business plan? Anyone? What is the core? What is the meat of the business plan? The main thing in the business plan?
Sir, attracting customers.
That is the purpose. Correct. But what is the core? Okay,
Sir, revenue management.
Boss, you agree with this?
Persistent.
Isn't it?
Absolutely, sir.
That's why I spoke about persistent earlier, right? So the business plan says, who are you solving the problem for? Are you solving a problem? Who's your target segment? How do you make money, right? How do you ensure that your competitor is kept out? Entry barrier. Is it a large market size? How do you grow, right? What's your team? All that is part of your business plan. So the bulk of the business plan, the core of the business plan, is what I call the persistent model. So far, okay? You agree? And by the way, when you're presenting your startup to an investor for funding, this is what he wants to see, and therefore this is the core of the business plan that you will present. Okay, and obviously when you present to him, you'll present in the form of a presentation, maybe a PPT, but this is the core. Okay, so now I want to talk about a couple of other issues which the investor will definitely ask you, and you must ask yourself. Very, very important. Okay, this is the whole concept of unit economics. By the way, again, all this is from the book. So if you have a copy of the book, and you've read it, you may already be aware of this. So let me explain this concept. See, we have said revenues, but we haven't looked at profits yet. Right now, ultimately, a business needs to make profits. Correct? So let's look at how profits are made. I will take another example, and some of you are familiar with this. AHA Taxis is basically in the area of intercity taxis, right? So let's say Bhubaneswar to Kolkata, or Patna to Lucknow, or Delhi to Shimla, or whatever, right? So they're not like Ola and Uber. They are into intercity, one city to another. Okay. Now let us try and look at their viability, their profitability. Okay. So what we will do is we will define each trip, average trip, right? There'll be some trips which are very long, some trips which are short. Let's take an average trip. Right? So let's define each trip as a unit, one transaction, right? A unit. And let me take some figures. So let's say the customer pays AHA Taxis 3,000 rupees for that trip. Okay. AHA Taxis, they don't have their own taxis. They are like a marketplace for taxis, right? So they will pay the taxi driver or the operator, let us say 2,500. Okay. There is no other direct expense for this transaction. So this transaction, which is one trip, one unit, revenue 3,000, expense 2,500. Therefore, the profit from this one transaction is 500 rupees. And I'm only looking at the direct cost of this transaction. Are we okay so far? So which means the profit from this transaction is 500, and we are therefore saying that as a unit, it is profitable. And the other term we use is unit economics are positive. Okay, which basically means every unit, every transaction is positive. You're making money. Okay. Now, sometimes you may start with negative unit economics. Tell me why. Which means your taxi driver is charging you 2,500, but you're telling the customer, boss, tu 2,000 mein aaja. So you're making a loss in every unit. Why?
To get the customer firstly.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. So, initially, the customer may not be willing to pay too much. And in any case, you have competition, right? So you may give a heavy discount. And you say, once the customer has come to me and he's seen that the experience is good, the service is good, then I can ultimately, after 6 months, 1 year, maybe I will start increasing my prices, and therefore my unit economics will become positive. Okay. So initially you may be discounting. In fact, in many businesses, like for example, look at Squirrel. Initially, they didn't charge anything at all, right? But ultimately, they started charging. That is also called the freemium model. Freemium. Shuru mein free. Over time, you start paying. Okay. So this is that's why you may start with negative unit economics. And by the way, the investor is okay with this. He doesn't mind, provided over time it's becoming positive. At some stage, it has to become positive. Why? Why does the unit economics have to become positive at some stage?
We must earn the profits, sir. Now, otherwise we have to shut down. No.
Correct. Because if you don't, then the more you sell, the more you will lose. Because for every unit, you're losing something, isn't it? So your unit economics has to be positive at some stage. Otherwise, you're perpetually loss making and your losses will only increase. You grow more, you make a bigger loss. Okay. Then, so far we have only talked about profitability at the level of the unit. Now I will talk about profitability at the level of the company, right? So if the unit economics is positive, does that mean the company is profitable?
No.
No.
Overhead may be more than that.
Absolutely. So you have overheads, right? Because, for example, you have rent, salaries, advertising, marketing, which cannot be linked to any single transaction, right? So just to take an example, in the case of our taxis, we just saw profit at the level of the unit was 500. Let's say the overheads per month are rent, salaries, and other overhead, which is a total of 8 lakhs. Correct? So 8 lakhs is your overhead, 500 is the profit you're making per unit, which means you need to make 8 lakhs divided by 500 or 1,600 trips a month to break even. And if you make more than this trip, then you're overall profitable. Correct? Now, somewhere, in case you want, I can also talk about, recently you had this Zomato IPO, right? Where they're making a loss. And by the way, they're also making a loss at the level of the unit. And yet, investors have been so keen. I think their total oversubscription was some 40, 45 times, right? Loss-making company, loss-making at the unit level, which means if this continues, they can never make a profit. And yet investors are so keen. So if you're interested, we can talk about that separately. Okay. So this is what our taxis is trying to do, which means basic message is what? Unit economics should be positive, but even after that, you have to grow enough to cover your overheads. Okay. So just to conclude, what does the business plan include? Persistent model, I told you, right? Unit economics, competitive analysis, very, very important. I have seen, and I must tell you this frankly, I have seen a lot of presentations where the founder is trying to show that what he has created is far better than all the other guys that exist in the system. Boss, nobody believes you. Nobody believes you. So be realistic. A founder who believes he's far ahead of competition, no investor wants to invest in. So the investor wants to invest in a founder who's realistic. He realizes, boss, ye competition hai, but is area mein I am better and therefore I'm more likely to grow. So be realistic, right? Investors like realistic founders. Okay. Past performance, number of customers, revenue, growth, etc., quarter on quarter, month on month, year on year, and future projections, right? All these number of customers, transactions, revenues, costs. Now, just keep one thing in mind. When you're making a presentation or when you're pitching your business plan to investors, the investor normally realizes that your future business plan may change dramatically. So the exact figures are not so important. But what is important is, do you really understand the business? are your assumptions realistic? Are your projections realistic? Right? That's what he wants to know. He doesn't, I mean, it doesn't really matter to him whether you projected, 500 customers or 550 customers. It doesn't matter to him. He knows ultimately it may be 400, it may be 800. We don't know. Correct? I'll give you one example, one simple example. There is a company which was into the business of wedding gifts. They used to, you can order gifts and they'd be delivered to the wedding, the couple that has got married, maybe a few days after the wedding. So you can order gifts online, etc., etc. So I don't want to get into the details of this business, but basically that's what they're doing, wedding gifts. Now, these people, now, as you know, weddings are a very seasonal business, right? Particularly in North India, it's a very seasonal business. And I guess even in the other parts of India, it's a seasonal business. These guys, they said in this year, and we were somewhere just before the season, they said, look, we are likely to do 3 or 4 weddings this year. But next year in their business projections, they had shown 1,000 weddings. What do you think happened? Boss, how can this be? इस साल तुमने 3 weddings की, next year 1000 कहाँ से कर लोगे? नहीं सर, कर लेंगे. कैसे करोगे boss? They couldn't explain. And therefore their credibility goes down. So, your business plan has to be realistic. At the same time, it shouldn't say, look, I cannot grow, I can only grow 10% a year. Then nobody invests. So it should be high growth, but it should be realistic. You have to explain how you're planning to grow. Not, you can't say, look, I'll get these figures, but I don't know how. But don't worry, trust me. वो कोई believe नहीं करेगा. Is that okay? So this is one large part of the business plan. The other part of the business plan is obviously your marketing or sales plan, right? And the key assumptions in all this that you made. And then, of course, if you're trying to pitch for, if you're pitching for funding, then you have to mention what is called ask, which means how much do you need, what you plan to do with it, and what valuation you expect. By the way, valuation you don't need to talk about, but many people do. So if you want, we can talk about that slightly later. Hold on. Yeah. So obviously, this second part is important. What you will do with it, because when the investor puts in his money, and let's say at the angel investor level, you may get, say, 2 crores or 1 crore or whatever. And each investor may have put in 20 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 5 lakhs. He's putting in money, boss. He needs to know what you're going to do with it. You can't say, boss, mere ko paisa de do and I'll figure out what to do. No, he will not get money. You'll have to tell him, marketing mein itna karna hai. This is the kind of marketing I plan to do. Manpower, I need so many more people. Why do I need them? For A, B, C reasons, right? Operations, I need. Maybe I need a bigger office and therefore rent will happen. So all these you have to detail out before the investor is willing to put in money. Okay. So all these put together will constitute your business plan. Okay. So what I will do is I will I'll just conclude this part and I'll stop sharing. So this is basically the persistent model and the persistent business plan. And what we can do now is you're now welcome to ask questions. What is the time? Oh, it's just about 3. Okay, good. Yeah, tell me. Questions now. Yeah, Think Raw India has raised a hand. I'm sure your name is not Think Raw India.
So sorry, sir. This is Minushri again.
Oh, Minushri. And you have to show me your face. By the way, I don't talk to people I can't see. So now let's have all videos on.
Sir.
Minushri, can see you.
Yes,
Please,
sir.
let's have all videos on.
Sir, my problem is that there has been a lot of network issues here. So that's the reason I kept the video off.
Okay, now you can.
Yeah.
Now you can. Yeah,
So,
and the others, please. Anybody who wants a chocolate, I want to see your face first.
yes, sir. You talked about when the founder, they present themselves that they have got the best solution available. So the other person of this table, like other side of the table, the investor, they don't believe in your product. So sir, like ours is a solution. So we are basically, we have developed a product that is basically meant for fish and prawn farming sector. This is a solar powered IoT enabled integrated device, sir, that caters to all the aspects of fish farming. Like it does the uniform feed distribution. It also automates this aeration process. It measures and maintains the pH level. These are all solar powered. So sir, of course, in market these products are there, but this entire solution in one place is not there. There are people who are more into only aeration. There are people who only measures pH level. There are people who only does this fish feed dispensing is there, but it is a stagnant model. This device is kept, it's stationed stagnant at one side of the pond. But ours is a movable device, moves along the length and breadth of the, this water body. So yeah, this is a solution, and I don't know, like we have started speaking to people, but we are yet to go to the market because we are yet to do any kind of traction. So yeah, in the waiting zone kind of.
My quick response. See, about 10 years ago, investors used to invest in products without any traction, right? Today, that has become a lot less. Sometimes you will get that money, but in many cases, the investor will say, show me the business. Because, before you have gone to the market, the investor says, look, I don't know whether it seems to be a good idea, but I don't know whether it will succeed or not. Ultimately, what is important is the market should say it will succeed because customers have started buying your product. Okay. So from a situation about 10 years back, where investors were willing to invest in what they thought was a good idea with the product obviously built, today they are asking for traction, revenue. By the way, in some cases, free bhi chalega. Even if it is free customers, provided those customers get hooked, and therefore ultimately you are able to get money out of them. So in your case, I think ultimately you should be able to get investors, because what I do know is that agriculture, all kinds of agriculture, whether it is fish or whether it is land agriculture, and agri-tech is one of the huge investment areas coming up right now. Because the world has realized, the country has realized that there are many areas which are fairly saturated. For example, fintech is saturated, right? I mean, you can't have one more payments company. You can't have another company selling mutual funds because there are so many companies doing it. Crowded market, right? But agriculture is untapped. And therefore, I think you'll have a very good opportunity. But yes, ideally, you should show some level of traction before the investor gets interested. I must also tell you one more thing. See, your business is a lot more physical than Squirrel. Okay. Where you have pure digital businesses, there ultimately only the top 2-3 market leaders will survive, or maybe 4. For example, if you look at, let us say, e-commerce, you have Amazon, you have Flipkart, you have JioMart, and now whatever, Jio Retail and Reliance Retail, and you will have maybe Tata, because they have just bought Big Basket. So you have these 4. Nobody else has a chance because you have 4 huge guys in this space. But that's an online business. Your business is largely physical, which has one disadvantage, one advantage. The disadvantage is scalability is a little less. But the big advantage is that you can have many such players in different parts of the country. So maybe you could be the market leader in Odisha. There may be somebody else doing something similar in Kerala, somebody else doing something similar in Maharashtra or Gujarat or whatever, right? So in a business which is partly at least physical, you can have many players who coexist. So that's not a problem. Only thing is you have to try and see how scalable you can make it. And I'll give you one suggestion. See, you say you have a product. Now, implementing that product for the farm, for the guy who's processing the fish, that may take a long time. So one thought is you do the initial implementation yourself, but ultimately you have partners. Because if the partner does the implementation and he is trained by you and he takes a share, he takes a cut, then suddenly you can scale very fast. Right? It's like a FMCG company who says, boss, I will sell everything on my own. They can't scale. But now they are saying, I will sell through retail outlets, Kirana shops. They've scaled hugely. Right? So I think you should try and look at some stage, not today. Today you must prove that this works. First few installations should be on your own. But if you really want to scale, then you should try and look at partnerships, franchisee or whatever. So product you make, that is your IPR. Don't give that up. But the implementation works. It's like parallel. You look at somebody like, say, Oracle or SAP, the ERP company, right? They don't implement their solution. They only work on the product. They say, boss, TCS implement karega, Infosys karega, Wipro karega, HCL Tech karega, and there'll be hundreds of such companies worldwide. So no problem with scalability. Right? So I think you should look at that in the future, not right now. Is that okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay. Other questions? So by the way, I'll just mention one thing. Where is the chat? Yeah, 1 minute. So I think, Minushri had mentioned that she wanted to buy a copy of the book. So I'll mention two things here. There is a link to the book from Amazon. You can pick it up. But if you want to get a signed copy, there are two ways. Very simple. One is you meet me, right? But that will only be after COVID, because you're not traveling, I'm not traveling, right? So right now it's impossible. But there is another option. You send the mail, and I'll give you the mail address. In fact, I'll mention this here.
Sir, may I also send you an invite on LinkedIn?
Yeah, sure. By the way, LinkedIn, all of you are welcome to send me an invite. Perfect.
Yeah, great, sir.
Just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so my colleague is called Martina. I've given you her email ID, martina@leadangels.in. So if you want a signed copy, I have left a lot of signed copies with her. You can, she'll tell you what to do, because she'll have to clear it and so on. So if you want to, otherwise, you're welcome to meet me, but after the.
So where you are based out of?
I'm in Delhi.
So I'm also in Delhi.
Okay, but after COVID.
Sure, sir. Definitely. But I will definitely come and meet you up.
Sure, most welcome after COVID.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Other questions?
Sir, my name is Arun Kumar.
Yeah, Arun. And boss, you have to show me your face. Otherwise,
yes, sir.
I don't talk to people I can't see.
I switched on my camera, I guess.
Med Express. By the way, health tech is another huge opportunity.
So yes, sir.
Biggest opportunities are agri-tech and health tech.
So we are basically a franchisee-based company. So basically, we are converting.
You haven't shown your face.
Sir, I have switched on my camera. Just let me.
No, unless you are sitting in a banyan, in which case you're okay. Because there are ladies here, so no banyans, please. But
No,
wearing a
that's
shirt.
not the case. That's not the case. I think there's some problem, I guess.
Don't worry, no problem. Go ahead.
So basically, we are a franchisee-based company, basically a SaaS-based company. We are converting retail shops into digital clinics, right?
Okay.
So and we are trying to convert this retail shops into digital clinics and are doing consulting there through our paneled doctors. And we are gathering a lot of database of the patients, and we are selling those database to the diagnostic centers as well as to the hospitals. And we are developing a franchisee application where on one single platform, or our retail franchisee can book an OPD, can also book a diagnostic center, and also can book a surgery for the patients. So it is a one-point solution for a patient in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Just to understand, he can only book, or can the online consultation also be done?
Yeah, at his shop only the online consultation happens. If the consultation is converted into diagnostics, if the patient requires a diagnostics, so the retail shop is only facilitating the booking for the patient, right? And then the patient needs a surgery, then he is just facilitating a booking for the patients at a particular hospital based on the budget, based on the patient's budget.
Okay, great.
So we are giving them a cost analysis of all the diagnostic centers nearby, as well as a cost analysis of all the hospitals in the cities, so that prior to coming to the city, the patients have a booking for themselves, and they do not have to move around all these cities to hospitals to find a rate.
Okay.
So that is what we are trying to do, and we have we are basically making money out by selling selling medicines to the retail shop. So we are basically a stockist.
Okay.
So that's our model. So that's how we are operating. So we have around 60 plus retail shops right now, and we have done almost 50 lakhs of business in the last 9 months. Currently, and we have pitched to a couple of investors also. We have been discussing with the Chennai Angels, as well as Eagleton Ventures, as well as 100x VCs. So both of them, Chennai Angels and Eagleton Ventures, have called us, and they have told us to come back to us again after 3 months, because the traction you have is you have a potential, but you need more traction. So that's where I think what is that traction that an investor look at? Like what is the numbers that investors look at?
Okay. So I have 2-3 questions first. So first of all, what is your monthly? 5 lakhs you said in the last 8-9 months. So per month right now, how much are you doing today?
So today, no, we have done almost 40 lakhs of business as of now.
Yeah, but per month is how much?
Per month, right now we are clocking around 3.5 to 4 lakh rupees.
Okay, so it's not growing, is it?
It's growing at a rate of 10% every month. Month on month, AMGR is around 10%.
Okay, so first few months you didn't do much.
First few months, basically, we started this B2B since March, April, because prior to that, we were focused completely on B2C by delivering medicines in Cuttack and Bhubaneswar within 6 hours. So we started off with that idea. Once we got traction from outside Cuttack and Bhubaneswar, where we tied up with the retail shops to deliver our medicines within 6 hours. So we still deliver our medicines within 6 hours in Cuttack and Bhubaneswar.
So let me explain a few things. So first of all, you're saying you have always been a stockist, right?
Yes, right now we are a stockist, yes.
Okay, you're a stockist and you want to add this business to what you're doing right now.
Yes.
Okay. And these will be 2 separate businesses, 2 independent companies.
No, sir, same company. Basically, right now what happens is these retail shops place orders to any of the stockists through, writing on a piece of paper and all. So we have just devised a platform where they're placing the orders online.
Okay.
First, that is one problem we are solving. Second problem we are solving for the retailer is there are a lot of patients who come to these retail shops for consulting, and these retail shops usually tie up with local doctors who go there physically. But due to COVID, these doctors are not going anymore. So we are just converting those doctor chambers into digital clinics, and we have our empaneled doctors on our platform where we are doing a consulting. So that is also increasing their counter sales.
Okay, fine.
So those 2 are my major revenue source for me, like the OPD bookings and the sale of medicines.
So
the rest, yeah.
So couple of things. One is, as a stockist, right? So what are your revenues as a pure stockist? Forget this.
My revenue as pure stockist, sir, currently is around, my gross margin is around 3%, which I can extend up to 7% once I start getting, keeping inventories.
No. So right now, as a stockist, what is your total revenue?
As a stockist, my total revenue is 2.5 lakhs. Like we started off, we got our license last month itself.
Okay, so let me explain. See, I have not been able to understand. This business that you're talking about is a good business.
Yes.
It's a good business. Yes, definitely it will work. The one thing you may need is the franchisee, the shop owner may need to have one paramedic, one person who does things like take the BP, height, weight, etc., etc. All that is required. because only then will the consultation be valid, because normally the doctor will need all this, right? The second issue is I'm not able to understand. You're saying you for some years you have already been a stockist. Now you're adding this business to your mainline.
No, sir.
business.
No. We started off as a completely B2C model, right? We were only delivering medicines to the consumers.
Okay.
In March, we pivoted, since we got a lot of orders outside Cuttack and Bhubaneswar, which took almost 24 hours, 48 hours to deliver. So we tied up with local retailers to deliver our medicines, right? So where there we got more orders from the retailers. Why aren't you supplying the medicines? Why do we have to go to 10 to 15 other stockists to get our medicines? So we got our license registered.
Okay.
Then right now we have started selling medicines to the retailers.
Fine. So if you're talking of a gross margin of about 3% on a revenue of about 3.5 lakhs, yes, that is fairly low. So I'll tell you, if you have a
just to add, sir. So as per the analysis, what we have done
we may have to cut it short because there are other people also who may.
Sure. Yes.
So if you want, we can spend more time later. But just a quick answer to your question. Normally, if the gross margins are high, okay, then we ideally look at about 1 crore of annualized revenue, which means about 6, 7, 8 lakhs per month, right? But your gross margin is a stockist gross margin, which is low. You're saying you can take it up to 7, but today it is 3. Maybe it will go up to 4 or 5 or whatever. In that case, see your gross margin is how much? On 3.5 lakhs, 3% is what? 10K, right?
Yes.
10K. That's very, very low. Very low for funding. Very, very low. Normally, one would expect at least about 5 to 6 lakhs, or even 4 to 5 lakhs, provided you are showing very, very steep growth.
Yes.
So my quick point is, I think it's a good business model. It will work, but you'll have to show a hell of a lot more traction.
Yes.
Like I said, about 3 to 4 lakhs of gross margin per month.
So my number of partners growth is around 30% month on month. So that is what I'm banking upon.
Yeah, so if you can get that kind of growth and you can get 4 or 5 lakhs per month, then you are good to go for the investor. He'll be willing to invest.
Yes.
I don't see a problem.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. If there are no more questions, then I think we can conclude. Okay, everybody is going to sleep. Good. Enjoy yourselves.
Sir, can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir. So, when we started approaching these investors, because sir, we have been running this company for last more than 4 years now, but our introduction or our brushing with startup world, it started only during COVID only, and we are really new in this segment. Startup India, investors, VC fund, and all. So, sir, when we started approaching these investors, they all asked us about this traction that you told us about.
Correct.
But, sir, telling you honestly, during COVID, whatever margin we used to earn from our solar EPC company, we are basically a solar EPC company, sir, based out of Delhi. And you know that there is, lot of companies out there, so steep competition. So, to beat this, to, stay afloat, this business has been a huge challenge. And simultaneously, producing these units of these new devices and making them doing the validation and all, a lot of money is required. So sir, at this juncture of this startup, no investor will come up and be a part of it, kind of thing.
Correct. So normally what you will have to do at this stage, firstly I must tell you one more thing. I am now able to understand you are actually running 2 independent businesses. You're running a solar EPC business and you're running this IoT business for fish farms. Is that correct? Yeah. The one statement I will make, and you'll have to figure out how to solve this. The investor typically says, why should I invest in half a founder? And you know what that means. So, if you are doing 2 businesses and you say, look, See, every founder who's running 2 businesses will say, don't worry, I will only focus on this business, not on the other one. But the investor will say, boss, if you're running the other business, obviously you'll spend time there. So there has to be at least one full-time founder, in the business for which you want investment. That is extremely important, right? If you're saying I'm doing these 3 businesses, but I only want money for this, wo paisa nahi milta. That is the problem. Secondly, assuming you can take care of this issue, in fact, maybe you can merge the 2. So, I mean, you do EPC only for this? I don't know. That is something you have to decide. See, the other issue is that at this stage, normally you will have to go to other sources other than external investors, right? So, for example, let's say friends, family, relatives, right? Sometimes incubators will also give you small amounts. I don't know what this incubator will, but normally incubators can give you up to 5-10 lakhs, sometimes even 15, right? Those are small amounts. Big amounts, if you want, obviously you need to go to an investor. The other possibility you can look at is, see, there is this KVIC. You know what KVIC is, right? Khadi and Village.
Yes, sir. We are also, we are also working with MSME for Spurti, so I know them pretty well. Yeah.
Talk to them because they might be able to give you a loan. Because anything because your thing will impact rural people. So
yes.
You may be able to get a loan from there. You may also be able to get a grant from other government sources. But for investor money, you need traction. Without that, it's not easy.
Sure.
Yeah. Unless there is some investor who really likes eating fish. But locating such investors is not easy. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or can we conclude?
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Who spoke? You have.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Very good afternoon. Alisha this side.
Alisha. Yeah, Alisha. Tell me.
So I have a question. So, I'm from A to Z Medical, and
Alisha, like I said, you have to show me your face.
Okay. Actually, I'm in office. Okay.
Show me the office. Okay, good. Can see your face now. Yeah, tell me. I have a policy. I don't people I can't see.
Okay. So I attend a acceleration program in a Derby Foundation, me and my team. So initially we make a pitch deck, and before demo day, someone asked us to cut your pitch deck and make it short and crisp. So we share the entire pitch deck, and she cut it short according to their presentation route. And at the demo day, when we started giving presentation, so they are the expert over there. They started asking questions about those slides we already cut down. So everything was just messed up. And in startup, everyone discussed with the different experts. So it is a kind of it is simply sometimes difficult to think we should listen to whom,
okay,
and किसकी बात को apply करें. So we get sometimes very confused.
So I will tell you 2-3 things, right? And what you asked is a very general question, so the answer will apply to everybody on this in this audience. One of the concepts that I talk about is called WYKM, WYKM. Okay, I'll just explain that concept. Okay. If you go back to the year 2014, right, when Prime Minister Modi ran his first campaign, right, for the Prime Ministership, right? He is a very good speaker. He used to say a lot of things, and normally you would forget most of those things, right? Because he speaks for 1 hour. How the hell can you remember what he said for 1 hour? But he made it a point. एक मैसेज था जो बार बार बोल रहा था, And that message everybody remembered. You remember what the message was? अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं.
Okay.
Maybe you were not born then, I don't know. Or maybe you were in school, I don't know. But therefore you may not remember. But that was the key message that people remembered. Okay. Take another example. Barack Obama. When he campaigned, he had a similar comment where he said, yes, we can. So you forgot everything else he said, but wo cheez yaad rehti hai. Donald Trump, his key message was America first. Okay. Look at Maggie. Maggie noodles का key message क्या है? 2 minutes. Okay.
2 minutes.
Fevicol का key message क्या है? चिपकता है. Even if it is a shadow, चिपकता है. Right? See, what you must remember is when you are communicating, and this could be a presentation, it could be face-to-face communication, could be a Zoom call, could be anything. You must remember, if you try and say too many things, the other person will not absorb all these things. Okay? You have to decide what are those key things that this person needs to absorb. What are the key messages that he needs to absorb? Make sure you focus on those. Okay, that's number one. And I call that WICM, which stands for what's your key message. So Modi ji ka key message tha अच्छे दिन आने वाले हैं. Barack Obama का था yes we can, right? Fevicol का है चिपकता है, right? So you have to first decide what's your key message. And your key message cannot be 100 things. It has to be those 3-4 things. Your entire presentation should be built around that. Those key messages, and those few key messages have to be repeated a few times so that when the guy walks out of the meeting, he says, हाँ मेरे को ये याद है. Okay, and that's the message you wanted to give him. Okay, so that's first part. However, you're right. Sometimes you will get people who ask you questions which are beyond this. So you must always keep some backup slides. So your presentation is what you have decided, which includes your WICM, and your WICM cannot be more than 3 points. 1, 2, or at the most 3, right? And in addition, you keep backup slides. So if they ask a question, Haji, mere paas jawab hai, ye dekhiye. Otherwise, you get lost, right? Because you never know what the guy will ask. You're absolutely right. I mean, for example, a chartered accountant will go into the last level of financial detail. A guy who understands your business will ask you business questions. A guy who's into HR will ask you questions about the team. You don't know. You don't know who your audience is. So you decide what your priorities are, use them, but keep a few spare slides, depending on what question comes up. Okay? And don't have a very long presentation. Nobody listens to those. If you've been given 6 minutes, in 6 minutes, you can't normally do more than about 6 or 7 slides at the most. Okay? Yeah. Anybody else? Sure, welcome. Anybody else?
Hello, sir.
Hi, sir.
Yeah. So I think Satyanarayana is, yeah. Hold on.
Yes, sir. Hi,
So
sir.
Sean,
Good afternoon.
Sean,
How are
it
you?
can't be Sean. Your name must be something else, right? So
Satya,
let first. Let Satyanarayana first speak, and then we can talk to Sean.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah.
I have a very simple question, sir. Very small question. Like how to what are the parameters to validate the business to be scalable and fundable?
You have asked multiple questions. So scalable, fundable, and valuation. They're 3 different things.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they're 3 different things, right? So for a business to be scalable, I told you, anything which depends very heavily on manpower, infrastructure is normally not scalable.
Yes.
Right? Anything which is pure product or pure technology, pure digital is very highly scalable. Anything which is in between, obviously the scalability varies.
Yes.
And I gave you the example of Make My Trip. I gave you the example of Amazon, which is a little less, or Zomato, which is a little less scalable than Make My Trip, because Make My Trip is pure digital. Zomato has deliveries, and therefore manpower involvement, training involvement, manpower leaves, they have to be re-recruited, etc., etc. It becomes less scalable, right? As far as the investor is concerned, like I told you, he looks at the entire persistent framework, and scalability is a part of that. No investor will invest in a non-scalable business, right? Because see, you must appreciate one thing. See, if you look at the stock market, I think the other guys, if you can please mute yourselves, because there seems to be some disturbance somewhere. Yeah? So if you look at the stock market, if you're reasonably disciplined and smart, you can make 15-20% average per year returns, right? So the investor knows he can make that anyway. So why would he invest in such a risky thing as a startup? Correct? The reason why he invests in a startup, which is very highly risky, is because he expects much higher growth and therefore much higher returns, for which he is willing to take a risk. It may collapse. Okay. Which is why for him, scalability is an extremely important thing, because if it is not scalable and it grows only at 20% per year, then you might as well buy shares of Reliance Industries, right? Why do you want to invest in a startup? So the investor will have to look at scalability. That's the only reason why he's looking at. And otherwise, he looks at the entire Persistent model. Valuation is a different issue altogether. And I'll try and explain to you what I mean by valuation. So essentially, valuation is what? What is the total? Suppose an investor wanted to buy your entire company, which means all the shares in your company. How much would he have to shell out, right? So if he has to shell out 10 crores to buy all your shares, valuation is 10 crores, correct? Valuation depends on many factors, many factors, right? And I must tell you that there is no formula for valuations in startups, right? It's a very gray area, very gray area. Okay? And I'll try and explain why. See, if you look at a company like, say, Hindustan Lever, okay, Hindustan Unilever, they have been growing at about 12 to 15% every year. Their profits have been growing at about 12 to 15% every year, right? Accountants have created one very simple formula for valuation, which is called DCF. I presume you're aware of DCF? Yeah? Discounted cash flow. Are you aware?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Okay. Some of you may not be aware. So basically, see, why are you investing in a company? You are investing in a company to take advantage of the profits that the company makes in the future. Correct? So what you want to see is you want to see the future projection of profits and apply a formula on that, and that gives you the valuation. Because how much you're willing to pay depends on how much profit the company is likely to make year on year. Now, Hindustan Lever has already been doing 12 to 15% increase in profit every year. So it is reasonable to assume that in the subsequent years also 12% is doable, right? So you can project 12% and apply the formula, which is called discounted cash flow. Similarly, HDFC Bank has been growing by, let's say, 16 to 18% and so on. Now you come to a startup. Many startups have no history of revenue.
Yes, sir.
Many startups have no profitability. They loss making. Yeah. How do you project the next 3 years' growth and profits?
Yes, that was my question actually.
Correct. So that is a question about 4 crore people in India asking. And I'm trying to give you the answer. Yeah, absolutely. So the whole problem is no formula can be applied. No formula. Okay. Because you can't project a startup. You know, a startup which has a past of 6 months, how do you project the next 3 years? It is meaningless. So no formula applies. Therefore, what is done is you use thumb rules. Okay. One thumb rule which is very commonly used is, if you have a startup which has a pilot, a paid pilot, right, but no other revenues, only paid pilots, then normally your revenue, your valuation is somewhere between 3 and 5 crores for the company. If you have some revenues, it goes up to between 5 and 10. If you have significant revenues, decent brand built up, entry barrier, it goes beyond 10. Okay, so that is one thumb rule. The second thumb rule we use is assuming your gross margin is large enough, right? So I'm not talking of, for example, you look at Arun Kumar, his gross margin was only 3%. If you have a high enough gross margin, or you just look at gross margin, 10 times the gross margin is the valuation which is typical. Okay. Now, again, it will vary depending on many factors. So if the founders are highly experienced, right, you're in that field, valuation grows. If you're a tech guy and you have a beard like you have, and it's a tech startup, valuation may actually grow. Yeah, because techies are supposed to have beards, isn't it? Anyway, that was a joke. If you have a breakthrough product, then you'll get a higher valuation because people are interested. If it's a sexy, new, futuristic business, right? If it's a very conventional business, for example, you're running a training shop, right? Online training classes. Lots of people are running online training classes. Nothing new about that. You'll get a lower valuation, right? So there are many factors which go into creating valuations. But I must tell you typically how valuation is normally arrived at. Okay, I'm giving you a practical story now. Typically what happens is the founders and the investors sit in a coffee shop across the table. Okay, and the founder says, look, sir, I have applied my DCF. I have, I have so much revenue and I have a very good entry barrier. I'm building a brand. So my valuation should be 12 crores. Satya, by the way, you understand Hindi?
Ji sir, bilkul.
Okay, good. So the investor says, बेटा ऐसा है, चुपचाप कॉफी पी ले, 3 करोड़ से ज्यादा नहीं मिलेगा.
हाँ, हुआ है.
ठीक है ना, हुआ है ना. फिर वो फाउंडर बोलता है, नहीं सर, प्लीज सर, 3 करोड़ नहीं सर, इतना कुछ किया सर, 11 करोड़ तो दे दो. 3, 3.25, चलो 3.25 बोलते हैं. And negotiation happens and finally they arrive at some figure, whatever, maybe 6, maybe 5, maybe 7, whatever. So ultimately, it is a matter of negotiation. It's a demand and supply situation. If you are in a very sexy market, doing something unique, which everybody wants to put money into, you get a higher valuation. If it's a more conventional thing, not too much revenue, not much demand, you get a lower valuation. But I must give you one more suggestion. And I think this is extremely important. By the way, all this is also there in the book. So, if you need money to grow, even if you're getting a lower valuation, right, take at least some money.
Yes.
Say no. I'll tell you why. And by the way, you'll have to mute yourself. Yeah. Don't say no. And I'll tell you why. Because if you don't take money because you say it's too low a valuation, you can't grow. The other guy who has more money, maybe because his father is a richer man or whatever, grows faster than you, suddenly he's ahead of you. Okay? Take small amount. So let's say you want to raise 3 crores, but you're not getting the right valuation. Don't worry, take 75 lakhs. Take 50 lakhs. Use that to grow whatever you can. You got more traction. Now go back to the investors and say, boss, now I demand a higher valuation. You'll get a higher valuation. So take it in phases. Right? And I'll give you an example. There is one very interesting company called Planet Spark, which is into, now it is into online education. And they wanted, I think they wanted to raise 2 crores at a valuation of 10 crores, right? And the angel investor said nothing more than 3. So they said, look, sir, please, 5 kar lo, 6, no, sir, nothing more than 3. So they said, okay, but we will not raise 2 crores. We will only raise 75 lakhs, which means they're diluting only 20%. But they used that 75 lakhs to grow dramatically. And then they went back to the same investor plus others, and then they got a valuation of 10 crores. And that is the time I also put in money. And that valuation they used to grow in 1.5 years. Now they are getting they've got a valuation of 55 crores. So the point is, valuation is a very gray area, highly gray area. All I'm saying is, if you need the money to grow, take a smaller amount at a lower valuation. Of course, it shouldn't happen that, within 2 months you're running for money again. You must have a runway of at least about 7, 8 months, maybe 10 months, right? But take that to grow. Then once you've grown, go back to investors and say, now I demand a higher valuation, and you'll get it. Right? So that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much, sir. You
Sure,
answered my question.
Okay, I think somebody had a question. I don't know your name. Sean Smart Solutions is your company.
Hello, sir. I am Aman from Sound Smart Solution.
Okay. Aman Goel, is it? No.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anji boss, bolo.
Sir. Sir, actually, we are a student startup from the CV Raman University. And our first product is a multifunctional sanitizer dispenser. So basically what happens when we go to any public places, it may be mall, cinema or anything like that, there is a guard standing and putting a thermal gun at our head. And by physical methods he is sanitizing our hands. So we have made a machine which is fully equipped with sanitization, temperature scanning and fever warning. Means we are fully automating the process, which is means saving our time and cutting the human interference. And sir, we are in the marketing phase now. And sir, for the future, we are planning to integrate some more health parameters in the machine, like blood pressure and all, so that the office persons and corporate offices or government offices can track the records of their office persons, means workers and all. Sir, basically, I want to get the suggestions in our early phase, how should we work, so that in the later phases, it will be easier for us to get investment.
Sorry, what is the question?
Sir, in our early phases in which we are, how shall we work? What should be our work process, so that we can have, it will be easy for us to get investment in our later.
So, एक बात बताओ boss, as of today, आज की डेट में आपके revenues हैं?
Yes sir.
कितने clients हैं, कितनी revenues हैं, monthly revenue क्या है?
Sir, we have nearly 50 clients and our monthly revenue is nearly 1 lakh.
1 lakh. So
yes, sir,
how do you charge? It is,
ago.
how do you charge? It is a subscription model or they have to buy it?
Sir, it's actually product based. We are planning for subscription when we will integrate more health parameters in it.
So 1 minute. So how much does this cost?
Sir, cost of the machine.
Huh.
Sir, it's 7,000.
Okay. And they have to pay for the price of the machine, or AMC फिर you provide separately?
Sir, they have to pay for the machine, and in future we are thinking to integrate some health parameters, and that will also be having subscription based model.
Okay. So मेरी एक दो suggestions हैं. Anil, right? No, sorry. What's Aman? Sorry. Aman, I have 1 or 2 suggestions. देखो, पहली बात, you must be very clear who your target is and therefore what his problem is, right? अब you say, देखो आपने ये product बनाया, right? And you're saying security guard check करता है. अगर security guard, see आजकल जो sanitizers हैं, ये जुगाड़ू solution तो बहुत commonly available है, right? एक छोटा सा स्टैंड होता है, नीचे आप पैर से दबाओ, ऊपर से सैनिटाइजर दब जाता है एंड यू गेट इट ऑन योर हैंड. ठीक है, वो बड़ा सस्ता है. दे डोंट हैव टू स्पेंड 7,000 रुपीज एंड इन मेनी केसेस द सिक्योरिटी गार्ड इज देयर एनीवे. इज देयर एनीवे. तो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड अगर इन एनी केस है और कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा है, these places do not have a problem of temperature sensing because security guard anyway उसको सेंसर दे दो, और सेंसर भी ज़्यादा महंगा नहीं होगा, isn't it? तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, who is the client, who is the kind of client who will take your product? Because normally जहाँ security guard है और जहाँ sanitizer anyway है, you are not really solving their problem, but they are already solving it. तो कहाँ पे आपकी चीज़ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करेगी? हु इज योर क्लाइंट, हु इज योर टारगेट कस्टमर?
सर, जहाँ सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स है और जहाँ नहीं है वहाँ भी. सर सपोज जहाँ सिक्योरिटी गार्ड्स है लाइक बैंक्स एंड ऑल, तो वो वहाँ 24 आवर्स पर 7 खड़ा नहीं रहता है, वो अपने काम में रहता है. एंड मेनली सर ये जो कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिसेस में और खासकर सर दिक्कत ये होता है कि टाइम कंज्यूमिंग होता है. सैनिटाइज करेंगे हाथ को, फिर टेम्परेचर गन से चेक करेंगे एंड ह्यूमन इंटरेक्शन भी होता है. तो हम लोग फुल
नहीं बस एक मिनट, अगर वो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड वहाँ खड़ा है उसकी टाइम की तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वो तो है वहां, कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा, सिर्फ खड़ा है, isn't it? So जहां सिक्योरिटी गार्ड है वहां पे आई डोंट थिंक यू आर सॉल्विंग अ प्रॉब्लम. जहां नहीं है देयर यू माइट, यस दैट आई एक्सेप्ट, ठीक है ना. बट तो ऐसे कौन से ऑफिसेज हैं जहां पे ऐसा सिक्योरिटी गार्ड कोई नहीं होगा? छोटे छोटे ऑफिस होंगे ना इस टाइप के.
Yes, sir, small offices and sir big offices में भी जहाँ पे means मेन गेट में नहीं लेकिन डिफरेंट ब्लॉक्स में.
अच्छा, जहाँ सिक्योरिटी गार्ड ना हो.
यस सर.
ठीक है बॉस, मेरे को एक बात बताओ, टेम्परेचर स्कैनर का कॉस्ट क्या होता है? टेम्परेचर सेंसर का
सर,
टेम्परेचर सेंसर का अकेला कॉस्ट कितना होता है?
सर if it's of good quality it's 1100, nearly 1100.
ओके. एंड ये जो आपका है क्या बात फिर सैनिट, तो आप बेसिकली क्या कर रहे हो? टेम्परेचर सेंसिंग एंड सैनिटाइजर, these two
And
things.
fever warning. If person has a fever, it will warn the whole area. Means by light warning systems and sounds and all.
Okay. So then I think you have a very good product. तो बेसिकली जहां तक मुझे दिख रहा है, देखो बॉस, बड़ी सिंपल बात है. जहां पे आप किसी की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हो वहां पे वो खरीदेगा. मेरे हिसाब से आपका प्राइम टारगेट सिक्योरिटी गार्ड वाला ऑफिस नहीं है, राइट? आपका प्राइम टारगेट है ऑफिसेज विच डू नॉट हैव अ सिक्योरिटी गार्ड और ऑफिसेज विच मे बी, योर राइट, अलग अलग ब्लॉक्स हैं. सो आई थिंक योर मैसेज शुड बी व्हाट, योर मार्केटिंग मैसेज शुड बी व्हाट? You don't have a security guard? Do you have people who walk in with fever? Could they have COVID? Can they infect everybody? Here is my solution. ये आपका मैसेज है, ये आपका विकम है. कि आपके पास सिक्योरिटी, या एक तो ये विकम हो गया, दूसरा विकम ये भी हो गया कि भाई have you had a situation where one person got walked in and infected the rest of the office? Here is my solution, only 7,000 rupees. तो मेरे हिसाब से आपका प्रोडक्ट चल सकता है, अच्छा चलेगा, बट आपको बहुत जल्दी ये करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि ये चीज़ ना कॉपीएबल है.
Yes sir.
क्योंकि बेसिकली बॉस आपने 3 चीज़ों को इंटीग्रेट कर दिया, वो इंटीग्रेशन दूसरा इंजीनियर भी कर देगा. ठीक है, तो आपको जल्दी करना पड़ेगा, बट यू शुड आई थिंक टारगेट दी स्मॉलर ऑफिसेज वेयर दी सिक्योरिटी गार्ड. सी जो बड़े बड़े ऑफिस है ना, पूरी बिल्डिंग को एंटर करने के लिए वो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड होगा, वो आपका चेक करेगा. दोज कंपनीज विल नॉट बी इंटरेस्टेड. यू टारगेट द स्मॉलर गाइस. जैसे दिल्ली में ओखला में है, you have a lot of small scale industries. They don't want all their staff to have COVID, but they'll be willing to spend 7,000 रुपए, वो स्पेंड कर देगा. कार्ड नहीं है उसके पास, ठीक है ना सर? लुक एट दैट. हाँ,
एक्चुअली वी भुवनेश्वर बेस्ड कंपनी है, तो हम लोग ओडिशा रीजन को B2B मॉडल एंड B2C से भी कवर कर लिए हैं बहुत ज़्यादा से, लेकिन सर हम लोग उसको स्केलेबल नहीं कर पा रहे हैं आउटसाइड ओडिशा.
नहीं, बट उड़ीसा में ही इतनी अपॉर्चुनिटी है. अभी तो सिर्फ आपके 50 कस्टमर्स हैं.
यस सर.
अभी तो बॉस ज़्यादा मार्केट्स में मत जाओ, फिर आपको सपोर्ट की प्रॉब्लम होगी. सपोर्ट की प्रॉब्लम क्या होगी? अगर कोई गड़बड़ हो गई एंड वो कहेगा सपोर्ट करो, आप कहाँ से सपोर्ट करोगे? आप नहीं कर पाओगे. सो आई थिंक यू शुड फोकस राइट ऑन ओडिशा. ओडिशा में तो यार बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्रीज हैं और बहुत ऑफिसेज हैं, ह्यूज मार्केट. 50 अगर कस्टमर्स, दैट्स ओनली अ वेरी स्मॉल पार्ट. जस्ट स्केल अप विद इन ओडिशा राइट नाउ, बट डू इट फास्ट. अगर आप जल्दी नहीं करोगे कॉपी हो जाएगा ये, एंड मेरे हिसाब से ऑलरेडी कॉपी हो रहा होगा कहीं.
सर एक्चुअली we have some competitors like Euronics and Dolphy, but their product is very costly and they are also imported from China.
So all I'm saying therefore is grow fast within Odisha.
Okay sir.
You have to grow fast within Odisha.
Thank you sir.
ठीक है बस. Okay, any other questions? No? So I think let's conclude. Is Mr. Patnaik there or is
I'm pretty there.
You're there. Yeah. So maybe
thanks a lot. I mean, all of these startups could able to get a perception of your use their problems. And I think few of them had thought in that way, and you made it concrete that what they are thinking are in the right way. maybe we are also thinking, as I was initially highlighting the problem, that we are trying to curating these startup, those who have gone to next level, and make them ready for some sort of fundraise and kind of that. So in that go, even as an incubator, we as a university have two incubators from DST as well as from NITI Aayog. Maybe into sector focuses which we haven't yet specialized into. But so currently we want to solve this ecosystem problem, is that startups, those who have got a bit of traction, we just help them into acceleration and take expertise from the investors, and maybe down the line 3 months or 4 months do some sort of, as you said, take a little raise a little bit fund, and and increase your valuation, and then go to the next level. Whatever is possible.
Correct.
Yeah, so that way, we just think to have one accelerator every quarter and collect some 20-30 startups and make 5 or 7 or 10, including HNIs, get some next level funding and take them to the next level. So that way also I need support from your fraternity, that few of the investors have agreed that if we collect kind of sector focus investors have agreed that if we collect some 50-70 applications, and they can just take a look on that to get to 15-20, so it gets a pre-approval of the investors. So there's a we can have a very focused curation on the startup, and then the sector focused investors can show interest in the demo day, or some time after that. So do you think these models are feasible, and we can definitely do so?
Sure, possible.
Would Dhrupji also give some time to shortlist 5 or 10 startups?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, whether it is me or my colleague, somebody can surely, not a problem.
Okay, then I would definitely write it to you.
Yeah, sure.
I would just get a very furnished program for that, plan for that, so that we can do it at every quarter and get some 30 to 40 startups sorted in that program in a couple of years, 1 or 2 years.
Sure.
Okay, thanks a lot for this assurance. I'm just working with a couple of people like you, so get a good bunch of investors, and also the startups also look at that program where the investors are shortlisting the startups.
Yeah, correct. That is
so
correct.
And we would definitely maximize during the sessions of the acceleration program. With the startups and the investors, everybody makes some sense. Yeah, that's a great hope. We would definitely come back to you.
Sure.
And I think Abhishek got some technical glitch. That's why he couldn't come up. But thanks a lot, Dhrupji, for coming up over here and helping our startups, learning a lot of things from you.
Sure, most welcome.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.